on my side. I'll work through it.
Okay. Well,
But
this is our first meeting of the Love Warriors outreach to the unhoused population. And the three of us who are on the line have been working with Love Warriors for several, at least a couple months now. So I don't think we need to introduce ourselves. But in terms of the purpose of our gathering, at Africatown on this past Sunday, had not yet set, any sort of an agenda. And so that is what initiated me coming back to the group and having this conversation that we're now having. And so I had initially called this, and I need to make the change in there, the Homeless Empowerment Project, but I've been corrected in saying that that the more appropriate language is the unhoused. And so we may want to call it the Unhoused Project. I thought of the notion of just home, just as some and within that is the notion of justice, and everybody needs to have a home, just home, period, just home, and that's what it's about. But we can have a conversation about that, and then an open conversation about not only this population here at Skid Row, but as you were saying, Lillian, there are other areas that have concentrations of homeless or unhoused. And so it might be appropriate to hit all of them, with flyers and so forth, and let our presence be known. And so with that, open conversation.
okay. No, I mean, I just think like the logistics of how we're gonna do it. So we you're considering going to Skid Row and then having like what, a QR code or some sort of flyers or
I think we need to have a walk card,
okay.
as the QR code and all the instructions with respect to how to join the party. I was speaking to one of our volunteers earlier today, and she indicated that many persons within this population do have phones and are often on social media.
Yeah.
And so, to utilize them to actually promote what it is we're doing might be a positive strategy.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that'd be great. I know when I was in San Francisco, like this is many years ago, there was a newsletter for people that were unhoused. It was called something different to kind of help them stay in the community and stay informed of what's going on. Obviously, now we have more social media, so maybe it went more digital, but that would be kind of a cool way to target the demographic.
yes. So, I mean, maybe on the slide we can pose that question to Pamela and see if she'll respond to whether or not there are any resources out there for that sort of thing. But if we can find some persons who have some experience working with that population, I think it would help us quite a bit. In terms of the number of places that we can visit, the idea is that we've got Tony's van.
Hmm.
And Tony's van has, of course, the big banner and so forth on it.
It's a beautiful banner.
But we park the van and either we table or we canvas um, the population. Now, I went down today and I did not see any organized groups, but in my past work with the homeless, I know that various churches and so forth will go out and do feedings on various occasions. And so I'm thinking if we know what that schedule is, and that happens throughout Southern California.
Hmm.
If we can find out when the times are that they are gathering, we can potentially take our truck to those locations, do at least the handouts with the walk cards, and hit these various populations over the month of June. Um, and again, it depends. I mean, so I wish I knew when and where. If I knew when, and where these gatherings take place. I know that there is a homeless population in Pomona, and there's a park there. If I can find out which church takes food to that park on which day, I think if we can show up in some of those places, we can really make headway. Anyway, that's my thing.
No, and like I said, I have my friend that I can ask him, like, but that again would be Orange County, so that could give us some idea about um, places that we may be able to meet. I could do
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and like maybe meet or maybe because like I mean I know that there's certain organizations that he goes to because he's looking for housing. So like a turnkey, I guess, is a new program. And so he's been going there and asking them. And so I imagine that he's not the only one. So there'll be people that might be around there that we can, hand out the walk cards to.
Right. So I think we can find out which agencies are actively involved in providing services to the homeless, find out what their schedules are. We can maybe piggyback on some of that and I mean that's the best. I mean, I think that's probably the best way to be able to do. And if we can do that, then bam.
All right. All right.
I have one main concern, which is to not seem like opportunists
Yeah,
for like
yeah, I agree.
vulnerable people. And I
Mhm.
think two ways. One is kind of branding it as, well, we're helping them register to vote, not necessarily to a particular person, although we will say, West Abdullah. But I think we should.
Well, I think we have to. I agree with you on that statement. And I'm sorry, Emmanuel, but I agree with you on that statement is like we can't say like, well, we'll only let you vote or register to vote if you register for us.
Oh, absolutely
It'd
not.
have to be like
Oh,
a
absolutely.
completely like we're helping everyone to
Of course.
register.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean that I mean and if we need to do some training and make that clear, absolutely. You register to vote first. We hope you'll do Justice for All, but if not, register to vote. In addition to that, there was another concept with regard to, oh yeah, okay, so the Justice for All party is beyond Cornell West and Dr. Abdullah. The Justice for All party is meant to be in place to assist them with their concerns throughout. I mean, and so we want to advocate as the Justice for All party issues that deal with the unhoused, regardless of who the the candidates are in running for office, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. You're asking to add to the advocacy of the unhoused through the Justice for All Party.
Right, and that's part of
Okay, yeah.
West platform,
Oh
the
yeah.
abolition of homelessness. And so for us as the Justice for All party to say, regardless of what happens in this election, we want to be a voice for you in Sacramento. Hey, that's why you should be with us.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm for that. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
and that was Alex's main push is that we as a party
Mm-hmm.
are seeking to provide voice for those who are voiceless, justice for all.
No, I mean I agree with that sentiment. That's from here.
Yeah, I
Emmanuel,
mean, I know what yeah, you're right.
Emmanuel, I think I cut you off. I think you had a second point. I'm so sorry. Hey, Alex.
Hey y'all, sorry I'm late.
No,
No
I
you're
was
worries.
not.
with
You're not late
Emmanuel
at
at
all. I
the
know you had. We know you had another meeting. I was just sharing your sentiment with regard to this being more than the presidential campaign. The Justice for All Party is here to establish a voice for particularly this particular community. And I think
and
Emmanuel had something he was gonna say.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just worried about not seeing or not being opportunists, preying on like a vulnerable population. So we would, as Dr. Rose already said, say that we're providing a voice to those who are voiceless, to be in harmony with West Abdullah. But then maybe if it might be too much to start right away, but coordinate with the people that are providing foods or like water and offer to, carry some of that stuff since Tony does have a big truck, but a big truck in addition to the van.
Okay.
So we might have something that we can actually offer them as nutrition, water, something of that sort, in addition to just asking the question about the server. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it might get us like some like good relations with the groups already doing that, build some trust.
I think that's great. One of the things we've said, Alex, is that there are many different encampments within Southern California, and so we're trying to identify the resources that will help us know when and where services are already being provided. And so if we can piggyback on some of those, we think we can maybe hit a large population within Southern California. So that's about the gist of our conversation thus far.
Mhm.
I had not thought of that, of figuring out where other folks would be and then being there to help support however we can. I think that is a really great way to go about this. I think right now we're a little bit ahead of the this is a conversation very broadly in terms of like solidaristic, which I don't even know if that's a word, but I keep using it, actions and mutual aid and direct action. If we can get together and plan something that's that complex, is something that we are like kind of in the middle of a pivot to in terms of the organization, in terms of like the things that we want to start practicing now, and the things that we're going to be doing long term after the election. So we want to start kind of getting our feet wet with that. What does civic engagement look like broadly? It can look like something very narrowly like direct action, or it could look like something narrowly like getting together and having like a letter writing campaign for particular issues in our community as well. There's a lot on the table there. I won't pretend to be the expert on all these subjects broadly. I've done some research on direct action. That's why I kind of I'm always like I'm saying it's such a complex, and it can be such a it's such an amazing thing to do, but it's not as easy to plug into as a mutual aid network. What am I trying to say is that we're in the midst of kind of this transition, and I'm hoping to work on it with a lot of other folks that have a lot of experience with these different buckets, I guess. But it's very important for us to start to practice this now, because I think the vision is that we want to be the vision that we're kind of putting forth and trying to solidify just over the next 12 or 13 days before we kind of come together and have this meeting. One of the things we want to cover in this meeting with all the state leads is, and I hope if I miss anybody on that email thread, please let me know.
No, I got it. I don't know where I don't know where I put the doodle, but
I invited
I
Emmanuel
remember
to
seeing
intro
Okay, good.
into our group.
Good, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm doing my best to keep everybody's emails in one place, but I'm getting better. We're getting better all the time.
We're all getting better.
I think what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, we're in the middle of that transition. We haven't like really come out and said it quite explicitly, but these are the kinds of things we want to start to do so we can practice this and be, and again, I'm not the expert on this at all, but something very akin to the Black Panther Party, tying in mutual aid efforts with electoralism down the line, right? I mean, once, or as the communists did during the Depression, they were doing mutual aid efforts and they were helping folks that were oppressed. And then when the time came when one of those people were running for office, they were like, well, that's our friend right there, right? This is our friend. And it's something that's a politics that is a lot more based, I think, in truth, justice, and love. And this is not something that's been totally, I would say, this is something that I guess we're doing a little bit of ask for forgiveness, not for permission, in terms of the organizing space. And we have yet to get the full approval from everybody we need it from, but we think it's going to go over pretty well. And I think that I'm just so you know, this conversation that we're having here, I mean, is evidence that this is what our minds go to. in terms of the work that we want to do. And so it's kind of I mean, it's important for the Wests and for Dr. Abdullah and for Kiana, our campaign manager, to know what things look like on the ground. You know, what is it that, you know, our people who are going to be driving and steering the ship long term, what is it that we want? So yeah, I hope that's clear. Maybe that's not super clear, but yeah. So I'm very happy about this.
No, I mean, my thing is like we should like I think you already talked about this, Richard, is like we should find organizations and try to augment it and not try to rewrite the wheel. I mean, a lot of people are already like there's already a lot of mutual aids and trying to find a way and there's already to kind of connect it so that we're using like empowerment of these communities, but not trying to like rewrite everything. That's the problem is like just being duplicate is kind of is taking time. But if we could find organizations that are actually already providing help, we could help those organizations and it also make our way and make connections. And so therefore we can actually take this message and make it a little bit stronger.
What
So-
I'm hearing then over the next couple days is for us to see what sort of scheduled events are taking place within the various unhoused camps in Southern California, and maybe putting together a strategy then to work with organizations and the organization and see what we can. I mean, again, this is trial and error at this
Oh
point.
yeah, no.
So, and we'll see what works. But I think there are enough things that are taking place that we should be able to find some scheduled activities where the good, because I went down today and oh my God. I mean, you know, I mean it's to see, you know, the homes, the tents, which are their homes, and the number of tents throughout downtown Los Angeles that is a population. I mean, it's
They're
crazy.
people.
Yeah, and I mean that's where they live. And so to address that, to go and to make our presence known, I think is just a great step for, you know, not only Dr. West, but for what we're trying to do.
Because there's different I mean, there's different types of homes for the unhoused, I guess is what I want to say. You know, there's tents in Skid Row, there's people that are in the desert, there's people that are in motels. It's, you know, the housing security it's a lot. So in some respects, it might be area to concentrate on an area or two, so we kind of can like maybe evolve our practice. Because if we concentrate on everything and all at once, we'll never get anything done. I mean, does that make sense?
No, I hear what so I think that again, if we can find out what's happening in the regions and then figure out what the best strategy is based on what we see in Orange County, in Pomona, in the Empire, in LA, we've got 4 weeks. And maybe we can hit, you know, each camp once a week or something and, you know, come back. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're serving at lunchtime and that's when they're gathering. Maybe we can do 2 spots in a day. I mean, that's why I need to get the schedule of what's happening. And then I think we better map out what our strategy will be.
Okay, well,
Do you think we'd be able to do something, or I understand we have to first tap into the networks. Do you think our first like actionable day could be, or when do you think that would be?
When Tony has that van together and he's gonna get the banners printed this week, I think we can get out next week.
okay, so you're saying next week.
Next
I
weekend
think,
would
I
probably
think
good.
next week we can start hitting some spots. That's my
Okay.
dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you,
I mean,
okay.
and again,
Okay.
it's depending on what research we're able to do and if we're able to identify those agencies that are currently doing things that we can say, okay, we know that, you know, they're feeding the homeless on Wednesday. Let's go see if we can set up and share, you know. They may say, hell no, get out of here, but we'll try.
It'll be just good, I think, to engage in the people that are affected by this because they could tell us where we would help.
Precisely, yeah. That's why I need some. That's why Pamela would have been a great resource. But I was hoping that some others in California would have seen our outreach and dialed in.
It's such a broad topic. But Sarah Luna was I was hoping she would be able. Maybe we could connect with her this weekend. She's had some experience. She's had some definite experience with unhoused and housing insecurity.
Okay, well then she might be the person then that we need.
Yeah, I think we should connect with her trying to get over the weekend.
Let me try to share my desktop here and see if you guys can see some of these shots. Yay.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know we can see him. It's
Okay, there's that.
it's so sad.
Yeah, I used to run downtown, like to City Hall, but then I kind of stopped because there was no clear way to,
Okay.
well, yeah, no clear way to avoid some of those places.
It's so sad. It's like the forgotten man, right? I mean, it's like people are not treated this way.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm thinking if we can take walk cards and set up our booth, and as you're saying, Manuel, have something that we can share. I think that'd be excellent.
I'm gonna call my friend who has issues and see what he thinks too, like where he thinks is a good idea.
As far as like, well, when we're talking to these existing groups, should we say that we're with the West Abdullah campaign, Justice for All Party, or like, yeah, what should we?
I mean,
should we
I'm truth. I mean, I think again, we have to be totally clear. Let them know who we are. I mean, they can say it's a public street. If they're out there, I mean, they're out there. We can set up down across the street. I mean, so I don't think they can prevent us from being out. I think what we want to try to do is see if we can establish relationships, and if we can establish relationships, and that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be there's usually a homeless advocate, or sorry, unhoused advocate within the communities, usually.
I've been down to serve lunches at times and with Homeless Rescue Mission, but all that's indoors. But the times when I've been indoors and people outdoors serving people outside as well. And I know many churches that, will go down and so forth. And so I know there's activity that takes place. We just need to do a little research and find out who we can partner with.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Okay.
But
and
that'll be, oh gosh, I'm supposed to be grading papers. That'll be one of the things that I try to do on the side tomorrow and over the weekend, and see if we can't identify a couple of organizations and some times. If we can identify some times, we probably should have a training just to discuss the do's and the don'ts about being in that population. And so before we go out, we'll schedule a time to walk through those things.
Okay.
All right, Alex, anything? I think that's what we got, man.
I think that's great. I'm taking some notes to, go to, and I mean, I know that there's a couple of folks that I know. I think at the end of the day, the thing we have to really do is be learning from each other with how nuanced, just even this specifically, this action that you're speaking about, this particularly, there's a lot of nuance to it. And so when we're going to be calling for people to get involved very broadly in their communities, maybe sometimes tapping into existing networks, maybe sometimes having to, maybe sometimes in their areas, having to get creative because some of these things don't exist. And when I mean broad, I mean it really could be about unhoused, and it could be about so many different things depending on where you live. Like in Los Angeles, and a lot of really big cities, we have very similar issues. In a lot of rural areas, it can be very different. So at the end of the day, there is such a necessity to this that I'm seeing. Um, there's such a necessity of bringing more and more folks in to this work so we can learn from more folks. And I think this is something where there's a wealth of knowledge in, and that we can really, as bodies, as people, really make a big difference in this way. And it's something that's just I'm just it's something that makes my heart sing for sure, in a much more substantial way than being put in the box for the ballot access kind of situation, which is, you know, it's a very narrow kind of lane to be in, because it's a very particular thing that has to be done in, with a lot of different regulations, with every state being different and this and that. But there's a collaborative process here that I think it creates a kind of flywheel where it kind of, we can sustain ourselves on this kind of work, on this kind of, and I think spiritually feeding work as well. Actually doing good, and not just, I mean, to be very crude about it, just doing good and not just tweeting, right? Like, often political work, it feels like it can be like, I'm going to listen to that podcast, I'm going to tweet about it. For a lot of folks, I'll just speak for myself, but yeah, I think it's a really beautiful thing, and I just thank you all for being a part of this particular call tonight in this particular time, because it's coming at a time that is really serendipitous, because this is something that that's been on my mind in terms of the vision for what we're doing. So I'm definitely pushing for it.
Uh, have we reached out to like the Poor People's Campaign or anything like that? Like Richard, like maybe that's like someplace we can start. Like I know they've done like advocacy work, so maybe we could say like, hey, I don't know, any thoughts, feelings?
I think that's a good idea. I don't know personally anybody involved in that. I mean, I know it's a huge movement, but you know, that's a connection that we can reach out to.
I have some very vague connections. Like I was trying to work with them before I got involved with Cornell. So I mean, it's really tenuous, but I mean, I'm happy to try to reach out and say like, you know, maybe we can compose something, or I can compose something saying this is what we're trying to do. And maybe they could give us some pointers, or, you know, like, because I just, other people have done this work before, and you know, with different varying successes. It'd be nice to be able to hear the positive negatives, but in the same time, like not dissuade us from the ultimate goal.
Right. Well, I mean, we're going to do the work. So let's hear from people who have some experience. One last thing I want to share with regard to this particular story. Um,
Hmm.
and Africa Town, you guys, is just becoming a fascinating space. Just for
Before we head out, maybe I should just keep this to myself, but I think we might run into like the 501, the organizations that are doing outreach that are structured as that nonprofit.
Hmm.
They may deny us like helping them because it would affect their funding or something, but I'm sure we could figure it out.
again,
Well,
I
if
mean,
we're doing education,
well,
if we're doing oh, go ahead, go ahead. No, if we're doing education, we're doing voter outreach. That's fine.
and
That's
and
fine.
and and you know, if they say, I mean, again, we're on a public street, you know, and the public street is the public, and so we don't have to affiliate ourselves with them. If a crowd has gathered, the crowd is gathered and the crowd is there, you know. I mean, so I mean, and I've seen multiple organizations in spaces. I was trying to find where the park might be, where feedings take place, because I'm sure there's something around there. We just need to educate ourselves with regard to what's taking place. So maybe gathering again Monday next week or something of that sort.
We can't do Monday next week. We're doing phone banking and text banking meetings, or you guys can, but unfortunately I
Oh,
won't be able to.
I'll
And I guess Emmanuel's with me too. So
once I
I know
figure
you're
out where
gonna,
we're going
okay.
and have some sort of a clear plan that I can share, I'll see if we can organize a gathering. But again, Tony's this is the other thing that we said, Alex, is we don't want to go out with any less than 4 people, I think is what we
yeah.
said. 2 persons maybe at the booth, and then 2 persons who are surveying the area as teams. And so I think we probably want to stick stick to that. Some of us old heads might try to go out on our own, but I don't know. But anyway, so that's where we are.
Some of us stubborn people.
Yeah. But we're gonna try to, to do the partnership
good.
when we go out.
Really good. Mhm.
Are we good?
Sweet.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell Alex, I'm probably gonna send you an email tonight regarding, like, I have some questions for the lawyer as far as because we are a political party and that, or we're a political group, but we fall under the political party, which makes us have regulations. So I just have some questions if you could send to the lawyer. That's great.
Should we stop the recording before, or just to keep it?